Hey there. If you were to read the earliest works in the yogic tradition, you discover that there are some associations that were originally there that we don't have anymore. One which really stands out is that the yoga practitioners of old believed that their techniques would make their bodies grow younger or even become immortal. Indeed, this was seen as a natural side effect or a direct result of the spiritual development that the yogic exercises would bring. In this video, I'm going to show my sadhana, my practice, and explain how I'm demonstrating that this works, and talk you through all the details and share some of the challenges. Now, before you can see the document that I'm going to be using as your guide. Now, this is going to be quite a long, in-depth video, but you can view the document and read it yourself using the link in the video description if you'd like to save time, or if you prefer to read than to listen. At the top of the document, you'll see this beautiful old painting which shows yogic practices. These are their hardships or ascetic quests. You can see the yogi learning to resist heat, learning to overcome cold. You can see lots of different upside down austerities. You can see breathing techniques, one that's even got the practitioner floating in the air, and standing or sitting for long periods. I've put this at the top because this reflects yoga practice as a form of discipline and dedication to internal cultivation more than I think many modern images might. Now, you can scroll down and you'll see there's a table of contents you can click on to go wherever you like. We're going to skip a little bit towards the end just to show you the progress show so far. And please be aware that this is all progress so far. This is a document I work on every few days, and it's a bit rough at the moment, but improving. So I'm using the best scientific test to show age. This is a epigenetic test from True Diagnostics, so this will show the age, the state of repair in a sense, of the epigenome, the area outside your DNA that shows your DNA what to do, how to express itself. And this gets into worse repair as you age. I'm actually told that this test is so accurate they use this on crime scenes so they can tell what kind of age is the person they're looking for. So when I first started, I was just a little bit younger than my chronological age. So you can see this is March 2023. But as we continue, we can see that after 6 months of this very intense yogic discipline, we've become a lot younger. And now the test is showing someone in their 20s, just in their 20s. I believe that this is true because I noticed a lot of changes during that time. One in particular, I noticed that my recovery time had reverted to when I was younger. Nowadays, when I exercise, it's back to how it used to be. I ache the next day, and then I recover within another couple of days. I found that sometime around my late 30s, this had changed. I wouldn't actually ache the next day, but the day after, or even the day after. So my body has gone back to some degree. Now, when I talk about going back to some degree, I've got a very strong sense of belief that the practice we're undertaking in this training here, it will regenerate the blood before it regenerates the body. So the body's always a year or so behind the blood's doing the regeneration on the body. Another test we did was the telomere length. Your telomeres are the caps on the end of your chromosomes. They protect your DNA when your cells divide. Think of them like the protective plastic tips on the end of your shoelaces to keep them from unraveling. This is a good indicator of your age. And when we started, I had an average length of 7.1 kilobases. And then after 6 months of this yogic training, 7.3. So those protective caps are regrowing in my DNA. So this is rather good. Also, my aging pace. This is Durinden pace is a wonderful test. It shows how quickly you're aging. So most people age at a rate of 1. I was aging at a rate of 0.82 when we started. 6 months in, 0.79. That's quite a significant change. Let's see what happens when we move to the next test, which is coming soon. So let's talk about what I did to make this happen. So first thing I need to mention as we continue is this document really just covers the physical aspect. There are inner aspects to this training, energetic ones to do with your vital force, to do with the essence of your being, which shouldn't really be discussed publicly, and you can learn them from someone who's a genuine yoga practitioner. And I'm sure that you can gain many of the benefits of practice from just doing the physical parts of the training, which I'm going to explain. But you really do need a competent teacher if you want to do the full practice. Now, when I say do the full practice, this is a very serious dedication. You really would need to cut down on your other commitments in life and be very sure this is what you want to do with it. So, I've actually called this yoga Vasyana yoga after Vasa is the Mercury, is the essence, is the life force or the regenerating force in many of these traditional texts. So this is just what I've called my practice, but think of it as just extremely traditional early yogic practice. Now, of course, there are many different traditions of yoga, and I'll show you the text that I'm drawing from, and hopefully they'll inspire you. Now, the first part of yoga is yama and niyama. This is the moral codes of yoga, and at some point I'll probably list more of them here. But the first thing we need to start to look at from our yama and niyama is non-violence. And that non-violence starts with yourself. There's no use doing any of these things if you're getting extremely drunk or smoking all the time or not sleeping or you're not doing the basics. And it's a funny human nature thing, isn't it? We tend to like exciting and shiny new things, but all the basics need to be in place for them to actually work. So that's the first thing. Cease anything that is hurting your body. And now we'll come to the diet. As I told you, this was a work in progress, so be aware this document may have errors and things we need to correct. So here's what I'm doing in terms of diet. I eat 2 plates of food a day. And this is something that is recommended in yogic and Buddhist texts. I have a lunch, I have an evening meal. And what I do is I try to make each one of them the most enlightened choice there can be. I don't calorie count, but I also won't eat things like fried food or processed food unless I've got no other option. So this gives the body a chance to regenerate. Intermittent fasting has been demonstrated to extend the life in many different animals, and likewise there's growing evidence that it helps us stay young as people. But the bit I'd like to emphasize to you, so this is a whole day's food for me. We've got a protein shake. I take one of those if I work out. So that's the criteria. If I'm traveling, I'll have a pint of milk instead. I eat largely plant-based, 2 meals a day, only 1 plate per meal. And that's a tricky one, because that's where the discipline comes. So you're not going to count calories, but you've got to make sure there's no excuse for more than that. Now, if I'm at an event or meal and there's a starter and a dessert, I'll manage that cleverly. I might have a fruit salad, or I won't have the dessert. Normally, the starter and the main more or less make a plate. You know, they're quite light, and because it's sort of beautiful quality, not quantity kind of meals. I try to eat olives every day, beetroot every day, and have 2 or 3 cups of green tea. One thing I probably should put in here is that I do have coffee, but I try to limit that to 1 cup, because it is my nature. Everything affects me more than other people, and more than 1 cup is too much for me. It's a very strong effect. There are some wonderful health benefits associated with olives, with beetroot, and with green tea, including I've linked to studies that show reduced rate of aging or regeneration of the body, extra oxidation of the blood, improved circulation. I'm really trying to sort of put these scientific studies in here for you as well. And here's fasting. So I fast for 4-day periods a year as a proper clean out. And in yogic tradition, this is a sort of dedication to higher things. So I tend to be working on some contemplative goal. I actually look forward to the fast because it's so positive. It's the bit after the fast I find hard, when you start eating again, keeping to that 1 plate a day. There's where the challenge comes in. I've listed all the health benefits of fasting, which, improved metabolic health, better heart health, cellular repair, this autophagy where your body cleans out all the broken cells, and improved brain health. There's a lot of epidemiological evidence that shows that in countries where there is a fasting practice, when they've got a religion where they don't eat every Friday or something like that, people do live a lot longer. And I think there are some places where there's like 1/3 of the population live to over 90, or some impressive figure like that. And these places tend to only be environments where there's a fasting practice as part of the society. Now, as you get older, your body inflames a lot, and I think this is partly to do with senescent cells. Cells aren't working anymore. I believe that you'll be clearing these out, reducing inflammation, preventing cancer. This is probably because the autophagy, your repair system, turns on and sees things it wouldn't do when it's looking for nutrients. Improved blood lipid profile. Well, we don't want too high fats circulating, do we, in our body? That's definitely not useful. So it's worth doing that in the modern society, just to make sure we've got the right level of cholesterol. And stem cell regeneration. So stem cells are cells that can become any cells, these pluripotent stem cells. We'll hear a little bit more about these later on in some of the other practices that we talk about. So I think this might be quite interesting to discuss more then. So therapies. In the evening, when other people are watching television or so on, I tend to undertake a therapy of some type. So it's not anything that's too planned or anything that's too rigid. It's if I'm home and I've got the opportunity, that's what I'll do. And this opportunity tends to be filled by the following things. An ice bath. You're probably aware that as part of my training, I was undertaking ice baths and things like that long before the health benefits were known or the current phase appeared. Well, this is still part of my practice. It's a beautiful thing. And often I'll do something else in that ice bath. I tend to sit for 15 minutes in an ice bath, sometimes 20. Or if it's winter, I'll sit and do my meditation outside without any protection. There's a lot of evidence showing that this helps the metabolism, creates brown fat, and there's cold stress proteins, which help repair the body. It reduces inflammation. All very good. Infrared. This is I've got infrared sauna, and yes, so these are often combined. I've also got one of those infrared caps, which are very good for your hair, very good for your state of mind, very good for energy. So I'll often have a sauna or a hot bath. The hot bath is rather good. And heat stress proteins, it's what we believe is happening with these saunas. There's lots of things happening, but one of the main things is your body realizes it's under heat stress, so it produces a repair set of proteins, and it repairs better. So it repairs more than if you hadn't had that sauna. Skincare. So a part of the discipline I undertake, I've practiced Franz Barden's system for quite a while. I always body brush. I think this is really good for the skin. The skin is the largest organ, and we found that if your skin's in bad repair, if you've got lots of cells that aren't working in there, then this causes inflammation and it causes other cells to break down. There tends to be a nasty feed forward mechanism when it comes to your body with these zombie senescent cells. So I do this brushing. I use One Skin, which is probably the only skin cream I know of which does make your skin younger. I use retinol cream. This is helps the skin repair maybe once a week. And this is just before I go to bed. I'll put on some of this sort of cream as I sort of stretch and relax down. Now, I take quite a few supplements. You might be surprised to hear that yogic practitioners have often done this, and I've been researching what they used to take, actually. We've actually recently found a lot more on this, to the degree where we now know that some yoga practitioners had their own alchemical laboratories. So this is superb to hear. Now, I'm not a nutritional expert, so I have a blood test when every 6 months when I have that blood test about the aging, I have another blood test, and I have an advisor, a nutritional advisor, who recommends what I should take. And I kind of view these supplements, which are mostly anti-aging or helping to the body to repair or the hormones to be correctly balanced. I view this as creating the right environment for my yogic training. Now, some people, they've looked at this and said, oh, I think a lot of your progress has come from these supplements. If so, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But I'd be very surprised if anyone who just started taking these, their epigenetic age decreased by 14 years or so. Let's see what goes, what happens as we continue. So we're talking here about the practice that I would call stage 1. So I've just talked you through all the basics, the lifestyle things, the diet, the supplements, the fasting. The other parts of what I'd see as stage 1, the basic, would be strength training. Now, you might be surprised to hear that in Mysore Palace, the yogis used to do a form of strength training. It was a body tensing exercise called Dandao Baski. I learnt the I Ching, which is the sort of Chinese equivalent, and you can see me there using a kettlebell. I've always loved strength training. At the moment, I train it 3 times a week. This is what I'd see as level 1 strength training. There's actually quite a lot of evidence that the strength training that keeps your body young, including your skin. I really do think it is the fountain of youth, and this is done using the internal energy. You can have a look at my book if you want to know how. So that's the part of this beginning, the first stage that I was undertaking. And the second thing is just an asana routine, yogic postures. Now, this is every single day with some meditation afterwards, and there's a lot of evidence. One of the indicators, or one of the connections they've found in tests in this, the True Diagnostic sort of a lab, have found that if you do yoga, you're likely to have a slower aging rate. And so just yoga postures, nothing more, no deep esoteric techniques or special methods. This is going to help start your regeneration. You need, if you're going to undertake this routine, you need to start a normal practice and start to work it up. And you'll see there's many health benefits to your bones, your flexibility, to your balance, to your immune system, to your heart. It really is worth doing a yogic routine. And most of all, of course, we're looking at some of these effects on inflammation, and which of course is probably, and reduction of stress. This is probably part of why it slows your aging rate. Now, if you don't practice yoga already, I think you should go to a yoga class, but also get this lovely book, The Light on Yoga. This is the best guide, and there's a course in there. I would work up daily in that course, and this is very easy to say, but it's a real quest. Work up to to the week 16 in that course before moving on to the next level of my training routine. That's what I did. And you can see me doing the first routine if you follow this video. Now, eyesight, you've probably seen that I've improved my eyesight. I was quite short-sighted, but a more balanced use of the eyes and practicing looking the distance. This has made a big difference. I think there's a connection between how much we look at something. So if you spend all your time looking close up, I think your mentality is a bit close up. If you spend all your time looking in the distance, your mentality is a bit in the distance. I think we need a balanced use of the eyes. And I believe that if you have a balanced use of eyes, you can avoid age-related eyesight problems. Have a look at this section. Have a look at the videos. It will show you my eyesight improvement practice. And we've got a bit of a checklist here. Here's an important insight. I found that later on, as I moved on to the next step, I needed to lower my body weight for some of this to work. And that's partly physical, but most of all, I just found that I believe that there are hormonal changes, there are changes in your energetics, and I needed to lower my body weight, and I'm still doing that. You need to achieve a healthy body mass index. So and one thing I recommend, get a pair of scales that show your body fat level. They may not be perfectly accurate, but they're consistent in their readings, if you get my drift. So if they're telling you it's a bit high or telling you it's a bit low, they do that consistently. It will give you some kind of feedback as you slowly cut the weight. So let's imagine you've got all this in place. That's your first routine. That, I believe, will take you to where I am. So I think that if you did all that, your markers for your epigenetic age will start to go down, and you'll get in a position where you're able to undertake a more advanced form of training. Now, I've also given a bit of advice as to how to undertake the internal training. If you don't have a teacher, you can practice from this book. There's a link in that section. So level 2, now we go to the specialist yoga techniques. The yoga techniques that those ancient texts are saying, do this and you will grow younger. So the first one we have here, which is the mainstay of this practice, Viparita Karini Mudra. This is inverted attitude posture. This is being upside down. And there is an inner set of exercises, special breathing exercises go with this. And the whole idea is to combine and reverse the flow of the energy while you're upside down. This is an internal alchemy technique. And if you practice this, if you work up to 2 hours, sometimes it's 2.5, it's measured in shloka, and then you will find that signs of age will disappear, your wrinkles will disappear, and grey hair will be reversed. So at the time of making this video, I'm at 1 hour, 1.4 hours. And it's a very vigorous, hard training system. Now, there's a lot of ways you can interpret the instructions. There are lots of different options for an inverted attitude posture. The hanging from a tree, the headstand, the shoulder stand. Most texts think it's the shoulder stand. But what is most important is that this is a whole practice. You're going to invert your attitude and you're going to join things together. So yes, you're working up every day. You're working up how much time you're upside down, whether you're holding it just for one whole hold, whether you're doing sort of 7 breaths up and then 1 breath sitting and working it up to the point, you're doing a lot more, whether you're doing different upside down postures. You can make the choice, or your teacher can guide you. But the aim eventually is to have 2 hours upside down. Now, the spiritual side I've touched on, but the physicality, I believe that this regenerates the thymus. And there's some modern practices when they give certain pills, certain vitamins, drugs and therapies, which have led up to 15 years of reduction in epigenetic age, to the same kind of results that I have had so far from this practice. So this, I believe, could be because you're upside down, there's extra blood flow. This could be part of the physical benefits. Then we have this Bhastrika Pranayama with a breath hold. This is an advanced yogic breathing technique. Don't try it if you haven't worked up to week 16 and if you don't have an instructor. This is a hyperventilation and then a breath hold. Now, the hyperventilation it's got an energetic component. It's part of the internal alchemy, and so does the breath hold. Without it, you've just got a physical therapy. The physical therapy, however, probably is very, very powerful. I suspect it's a bit like these hyperbaric oxygen chambers. There are chambers they put people in they lower the oxygen, they increase the oxygen, and this up and down, well, that actually seems to cause them to release these pluripotent stem cells. So you've got stem cells which are new, going around your body, can become any cells they like. These don't exist to the degree that you'll see in this this number, apart from when you were a very young child. So this is turning the clock back, and these studies they're quite small, but they are suggestive that you can regenerate your telomeres and that you can grow younger from changing oxygen levels. Well, we can do that through our breathing. Now, here's a very important thing: yoga nidra. Nowadays, you'll hear about yoga nidra, a relaxation session at the end of a class, and all that. Well, the techniques we use they're perfectly good, and they're very well put together, but they were put together by modern yoga practitioners. They use some techniques from the past, nyas, placing, some elemental visualizations. No one really knows what the earliest yoga nidra was. It was used often as a term which was a synonym for samadhi, or a higher state of consciousness. I think through this practice I've discovered it. A funny thing happens when you do these exercises. When you get over sort of the 1 hour sort of point in your morning training, when you're doing your inversions, you'll find that you spontaneously go into this sort of deep trance state at some point during the day, and you can feel the regeneration taking place. Imagine it like, when you snooze in the morning and you can feel it's all very beautiful and blissful. Well, this is a lot stronger, and your breathing, it naturally does certain things, and I've managed to observe what goes on. So this is a part of this training, is you'd have to sort of arrange some rest time every day as well. So this would be step 2 in our training, and this is a big undertaking. It'll probably take you a year to a year and a half to actually work up. There are different instructions in the yogic texts how to do this. Sometimes you're working up a breath a day, sometimes there's other formulas, but realistically this is a long haul. And what the yogic instructions state is they really want you to work up to 2 hours and then hold that for 6 months or so. So there are variations that say 3, but this is the standard. Once you've got this down, I would recommend just keep testing, and don't change the practice until you've stopped getting results. Let's keep that epigenetic age going down. Let's keep regenerating. Then you can move to what I'm calling here Amrit Pan, taking of the Amrit is the elixir of life. These are the earliest yogic exercises, the 3 mahas. So we've got Mahamudra, Mahabandha, and Mahavida. And these are outside the scope of this video, and indeed they're not anything I think should be discussed publicly. These are the original yogic exercises, and this is when your most serious practice will appear, and probably your most impressive results. Now, I've put a little bit of a section here about the inner and outer alchemy, more than you'll get in most books, but as I said, this isn't something I think should be discussed too much. At this stage, you should really undertake some of this dand baski. This is the regeneration through weightlifting or through exercises. I really think that this would be best to be performed with one body part a day, and this is going to be complementary to everything that's going on. If there's the generation of the potential, this is allowing that potential to make that take place. And now we're back to our results, our telomere length and Durendon pace. And what I've done is I've put some links to where you can get your actual tests. There are 2 diagnostic here. There's actually a thing called the epigenetic Olympics, or rather the rejuvenation Olympics, where they're testing their Durendon pace and trying to improve it. That might be fun for you to look at, and they're using 2 diagnostics. So the scriptural references I put here, coming soon. Well, it is actually already here, just not complete. So let me show you what I have put here already. This is what the Hatha Yoga Pradipika says about Viparit Karani Mudra. Shows you how it works. Warns you that you shouldn't stop eating. You need the energy to regenerate here. Shows you how you need to increase it with holding your feet up to the sky. And let's see, practice it daily, even for 2 hours, conquers death. So this is a 6-month, 2 hours again. But it also appears in the Dattatreya Yoga Sastra, the Shiva and the Shiva Samhita. Be aware that things like this, you look at the dates, you think, oh wow, that's rather late. Not many yogic things were written down very early. I think we've got the Amrit Siddha, which is probably the earliest text, which is also one of the most wonderful ones that might be worth looking at. Okay, now continuing onwards. Do you want to learn this? Well, you might be aware I have my own school of meditation. It's an online school. The students of which the senior members, they can undertake this practice when they reach the right kind of level of ability. But if you want to learn now, you want to physically go to someone, and you want to learn these techniques in a traditional yogic way, then I would recommend one of my teachers, a great guru, and Swami Atmagyanam. And here he is pictured, looking fabulous there in his robe. He will be running future workshops. You can go to him for private lessons. I think this would be the best option for someone who'd like a dedicated teacher who's taking this approach. There are many different approaches you could use to the same process I'm using. This is a very physical yogic one, and I think this would be a beautiful thing. If you want to know about future courses or workshops involving this, I'll be there, but I won't be the main teacher. Sign up to my newsletter. You only get something once a month. It's really on these kind of subjects, or you could contact Atma directly. He runs this yoga tree, and here's a direct link to the article at the bottom, so people can share it. So I will continue to update this as time goes on, and I'm still learning. I'm reading these early yogic texts, and when you're doing it, suddenly things make sense. But likewise, I'm interacting directly with the practice. Does this work? Can I feel this working? Is this adjustment quite right? Keep looking at this article every now and again to see my results. I'm taking the same tests every 6 months, and I believe we're going to continue to see scientific evidence of ancient yogic wisdom. Thank you very much for watching this video and for your support in this undertaking.